Welcome to the 1976 Spruce Meadows Masters, and this afternoon we'll be featuring highlights of the...
Ian Miller and Big Ben, our 1991 Limited.
Are you ready? I hope so, Ian. This is going to be really exciting.
Each September for more than 4 decades, the world's best horses and riders have come together in the foothills of the Alberta Rockies to take on the Spruce Meadows International Ring and all of its legend. The Spruce Meadows Masters marks the final chapter of international sport at Spruce Meadows each year. Today, many of the sport's bravest, fittest, and most talented are set to go in the CP International presented by Rolex. Hello and welcome to the International Ring at Spruce Meadows on the final day of international sport for the 2016 season. I'm Ian Allison, preparing to watch 40 of the best horse rider combinations in the world come through the clock tower and compete for the sport's biggest prize. What a journey it has been to this final day of the season. Athletes from around the world have qualified to come through the clock tower today and take on 2 massive courses designed by Leopoldo Palacios of Caracas, Venezuela. The top 12 will qualify for the second round, and from then on, we'll see if we'll be jumping off for show jumping supremacy. 570 meters are making up the first round course today, featuring many of the Spruce Meadows Championship suite of jumps. It's a tremendously demanding track, and near the end of it, a very difficult line near the in-out gate. The triple combination incorporating a wide oxer and a pair of Liverpools with big white verticals over top. It will be a test for horse and rider, the ultimate challenge. And what horses and riders we have with us here for the 2016 CP International. World number 1, Christian Ahlmann of Germany. Roger-Yves Bost of France, always tough on the final day of the Masters. He's coming off a team gold medal at the Rio Olympics. And then we have McClain Ward, a former champion of this event, as is Olivier Phillipaerts of Belgium. A year ago on this day, history was made. Great Britain's Scott Brash made history by becoming the first ever rider to win the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping. 3 of the sport's jewels. He won Geneva, Aachen, and then the CP International consecutively with his great horse, Hello Sanctos. Scott Brash returns to defend his title today.
If I can win the Grand Slam and do something that no other rider has achieved before, it would just be an unbelievable feeling, and it would be a massive, massive dream come true.
Ladies and gentlemen, your champion, Scott Brash.
The Rolex Grand Slam title's every rider's dream. I didn't actually think it could be done. It probably is once in a lifetime thing that can happen. To win those 3 majors is just every rider's dream, to win them once in your lifetime, you know. So to win them all in the same year is just incredible. And I think after Aachen last year, all my eyes were on Calgary, and it was all about Calgary, whereas this year has been a different build-up. We've been taking one step at a time with Ursula, building her up from show to show. So completely different really, but I'm so excited to be back. Spruce Meadows will always hold fantastic memories for me. Ursula is a wonderful horse. She's touch older now, she's 15. She was #1 horse in the world a few years back, and then really sadly got a bad injury and took her out of the sport for Yeah, nearly 2 years actually, year and a half anyway. So we've really taken our time, brought her back slowly, and yeah, she's jumped fantastic this year. Touch wood, everything is good and everything's right with her, and she was second in Aachen, and yeah, I'm really targeting her for the Grand Prix this year. She's a real special horse, that, in fact, that nothing phases her. She's a brave horse, but at the same time to have that bravery, she's still very careful, which is a hard combination to have, brave and careful, and she's got all the jump in the world, so she really is a wonderful horse. She gets quite sharp, excited, she loves jumping, so I just have to keep a lid on her, and if I can do that, then she can jump clear. It is different, this show. You know, you feel the history there. It's very unique, different to all the other shows, and it is just a wonderful place that I think all us riders love coming to. So yeah, I'm as I said before, I'm delighted to be back, and yes, it's a bit different this year, but I'm so excited to still be here with Ursula, and all my eyes are on the Grand Prix again.
Scott Brash will certainly be in tough to defend his title here at Spruce Meadows today. Two other names that are paramount in the storyline today. Former Olympic champion Steve Guerdat in play for 2 wins in the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping, as is young Philipp Weishaupt of Germany. Earlier this year, he jumped to his first major Grand Prix title in Aachen, Germany. He's looking to make it 2 in a row. And what about the Canadians, who are on home turf under what's more like winter-like conditions here at Spruce Meadows today, with temperatures hovering around 5 degrees? Canadian Olympians Amy Miller and Tiffany Foster have both qualified to start today. We'll look for strong results from them, coming off a bronze medal in the Nations Cup earlier at the Masters tournament. Not on the start card today, Eric Lamaze, 3-time Olympic medalist. His horse is not fit to compete in today's competition, having struggled through the Nations Cup earlier this week. Eric Lamaze, 2-time winner of this event aboard the legendary Hickstead, will not be going. Legends are about to be made in the international ring at Spruce Meadows as the 2016 CP International, presented by Rolex, is underway. Underway under cool and damp conditions in the international ring. The 570-meter track is showing its teeth to the very best horses and riders in the world. Eduardo Menezes of Brazil, a member of the Pan American and Olympic team efforts for Brazil, with this great big gray gelding Quintal, came out early and perhaps put the field at ease a little bit with a 4-fault performance. And then young Michelle Hendricks of the great show jumping Hendricks family in the Netherlands also came out with 4 faults. So as the rest of the international stage looked on, they then start to see what the triple combination was serving up. MHS Going Global has 1 rail down in the triple combination. Would that prevent our man Greg Patrick Broderick of Ireland from advancing to round number 2? Only the top 12 and or all clears make it onto the second round of the CP International presented by Rolex. And as you can see, we have yet to see a clear round here. I am sure we will see a few before the first round is complete, although this course is a bear. The CP International presented by Rolex from the Spruce Meadows Masters when we return.
Paying attention to the smallest detail. Getting to the destination the most efficient way possible. Ensuring all individual elements are working together to drive high performance. And making sure you do it consistently. Being the best comes down to perfect execution. That's not just good show jumping. That's good railroading. we love a sport that rewards precision.
A cold but committed crowd on hand here at Spruce Meadows. In excess of 50,000 people on the grounds already here in round number 1 of the CP International presented by Rolex. They are eagerly awaiting a clear round here, and who will be the historic winner of this, the greatest of all the Grand Prix on the FEI World Tour. There you look at the very best in the sport still to come, including defending champion Scott Brash, former Olympic champion Steve Guerdat, fan favorite and American superstar McClain Ward, amongst those in the final portion of the order of go. 570 meters, 18 jumping efforts over 14 numbered obstacles, time allowed 86 seconds, and Mr. Moya from Spain, Sergio Alvarez Moya, brings his mount through that sea of white rails that make up the triple combination. That was the course of much discussion during the course inspection earlier today. Not a piece of color on it, a pair of Liverpools, a big triple bar leading into a triple combination by the outgate. This is a real test. Ariane is an 11-year-old Dutch warm blood gelding, ridden by Sergio Moya of Spain, who has been oh so consistent on the European Tour, particularly the World Cup indoor circuit over the last handful of seasons. Top horseman looking for his first Rolex Grand Slam win. Will it be today as he encounters the early going of this massive track, which takes us over 570 meters, literally all of the international ring. A good offering of the International Championship suite, including the Beijing wall from the 2008 Olympics, featured right there. The Dutch bicycle, it would not be the final day of the Masters without the Dutch bicycle. Turn back now to the World Championship Globe from Aachen 2006. Now onto the massive water. Nicely done. So far, so good. A very tricky set of planks. And now, as Mr. Moya heads his way towards the south end of the stadium, on a perfect scorecard, he will size up first the triple bar and then onto the combination. Oh, and the horse puts on the brakes. Coming by the outgate there, the gelding kind of had a glance off to the side, and whether or not horse and rider or both lost confidence there, this 10-year-old wanted nothing to do with the first part of the triple combination, so time is called out. Here you see just a little glance, and you've got to go in that with confidence, or as Scott Brash was saying off the top of the show, bravery, carefulness, and scopiness are very, very important. There's a look at that triple combination that has taken its toll today, as Sergio Alvarez Moya of Spain elects to retire from the competition. So we move down the order of go, looking for our first clear round in today's competition. And there you look at Sami Al-Dahan. Wicked Diva is the chestnut mare he's brought into the ring today, and what a memorable turn of events it was just a couple of days prior to this when he scored a victory for Egypt here at the Spruce Meadows Masters. He'll look to carry that momentum home now. Sami Al-Dahan, having been a model of consistency through the Spruce Meadows Summer Series, earning himself a ticket back to the Masters, where he showed he can play with the very best in the sport by virtue of his jump-off victory during the Mercedes-Benz Evening of the Horse earlier this week. And now this little mare with the big heart, she starts off with a bit of a struggle there in front of the Meadowview building, the first of the combinations on course. We'll try and settle her in right now, looking to place her in the top 12 Top 12 horses from the first round advance to round number 2, carrying forward their faults and their first round time. Popped up a little high there, comes down on the plasticine. So as quickly as that, it turns to 12 faults for Sami Aldahan. Trying to calm her down. There's a great look at the triple bar, just about to be jumped. Now a bending line into the oxer. Now the vertical. Oh, and she just doesn't take off. It's like she got stuck there. Or he pulled back and she wanted to take off, and that is not the way you want to do that, as the triple combination claims another from advancing to round number 2 here. It's interesting, in walking this course prior to the start of competition, not many of the riders were paying all that much attention to it. They thought it was rather pedestrian, actually, or rather plain. It was all white. It's not exceptionally big, but course designers have a number of tools in their toolbox they can use, from distances and presentations to knowing that horses may get distracted at the outgate. So with that, we move on down the order of go to Russia. Vladimir Tuganov will be next to go. He is riding Suspense Forevel. This big gray horse has plenty of power, 10-year-old warm blood stallion. Vladimir Tuganov being trained by great Dutch Olympic rider and terrific horseman Piet Rijmakers, now competing at the biggest and grandest level these two have in their career. They'll settle in now, and as you can see, after warm, spectacular conditions just a day ago, overnight rains have, I won't say taken their toll, but the course is getting chewed up a little bit. The footing's still very good. We have yet to see a clear round, and we are over halfway through this incredibly talented field that have earned their way onto the CP stage at Spruce Meadows. Easily over the water jump. Now let's see if Vlad, can you see how quickly is that? Just going to say, see if he can package this big gray horse up, having come off the water so nicely, and get ready for that very careful CP planks on the very, very virtually flat cups. Lightest of touches bring it down. So now the triple bar. Pay attention now. Eyes on the prize. Nicely in. Oh, takes it down a bit, but jumps it boldly. That was quite nicely done, actually. Just a bit of a rub with the front legs. He had the bravery and the scope. He forgot to have the carefulness there. So a little bit slow, incurring one time fault, and just the white planks and the white rail, the triple combination, or the 8 jumping faults, but Vladimir Tuganov finishes up respectfully here at Spruce Meadows. The mercury continues to hover around 5 degrees, and we await our next entry into the stadium, and we await our potential first clear round. Let's check in with the youngster, Pedro Veniss of Brazil.
So I have Cabri, my best horse that I did the Olympics and here last year. He will do the Nations Cup and Grand Prix. So he's feeling good. That was the program since the beginning. I didn't jump very much in the winter, and then because of, I always said I want to do the Olympics, but I also want to do Spruce Meadows again. So he was really fresh to the Olympics. He jumped very good that, and he just arrived here and he loved the place. So I feel him very happy.
This is a spectacular combination. A young talent in the saddle, A brilliant horse underneath, the 12-year-old Quabri de Lille. This beautiful liver chestnut stallion. Such a contributor to not only this man's, but Brazil's success recently in international competition. And of course, has not only scored great success in the likes of the Pan American Games earlier this year at the Rio Olympics, now will look to continue their great run here at Spruce Meadows. Although, on a climactic comparison, very, very different from the rest of the season they've been competing in, as our temperature hovers around 5 degrees here. So going through a bit of a climactic shock here at Spruce Meadows today. But this little horse, easy going, finds his distances, great chemistry. Pedro does not get in the way of the horse does not get in the way of the rider. Let's see if they can put it all together and post what some people are starting to think might not be possible, a clear round. Seems very comfortable on course now, getting good footing off the takeoff, sighting in the fences very nicely, not at all bothered by the crowd. Here comes the big triple bar. Nicely done, taking his time to find his line, jumps in. Oh, the lightest of rubs. That was brilliantly ridden and almost perfectly jumped. However, 4 faults. So the elusive clear round remains just that. And there you see the final result for Pedro Veniss, sitting on 4 faults and hoping that will get him to round number 2. Comes in brilliantly. The horse just hunched through there. All the distances worked out. Just not able to get those back legs over that middle element and incurs 4 faults. So this nifty little stallion can go and try and warm up and get ready to take on the international ring. And while he does that, Tiffany Foster gets ready with Triple X.
Again, my horse is in great form, super fit. He's really fresh, actually, coming after Rio. He's been jumping amazing. Like I said, this is really the 3 shows that we really aimed for all year. So I'd like to think that he's still just at the top of his peak, coming off of Rio. He'll get a break after this. And he always jumps well in this ring, so here's hoping.
Tiffany Foster, here's hoping. She had a great result earlier in the tournament with her great veteran Victor, who contributed a double clear to Canada's effort in the Nations Cup medal round. And now with Triple X, this big stallion has so much power, and she now has so much confidence in him as he powers around this course so far. Getting his attention, making sure he respects each and every one of these fences. Every one of these have been placed where they are and how they are for a reason by Leopoldo Palacios. It requires horsemanship and teamwork as they move to the water, and then will balance up with these very careful planks. Nicely done. So now she should take her time here, respect the triple bar, and allow it to set you up for the triple combination. Nicely over the triple bar. 1, 2. Pushing. 1, 2. Oh, she asked a little long there, and that will not work out. The related distance from where Triple X took off from the B element did not give him a chance to the C. Heartbreak after putting it together so well, and Tiffany Foster is going to voluntarily retire from the competition with her magnificent stallion. So let's see what happened. They come down the line nicely in, takes off long there, and then by doing that, no chance at the C element. Things can change in the blink of an eye in this sport. As Tiffany Foster's day is done, Leopoldo Palacios looking on, watching the riders, watching the course, watching the result. It's a sport of surprises. None was bigger than that of September 2012, when a young man from Belgium named Olivier Phillipaerts rode the Grey Stallion Cabrillo to victory in the CP International, and with that provided us all with a memorable Spruce Meadows moment in time.
Well, I really didn't expect to win the Gregory, not at all. And then I must say, on Sunday the horse was jumping unbelievably good, and everything went well. And then suddenly I ended up winning the Grand Prix, which was actually unbelievable for me. To be double clear in this Grand Prix was fantastic, and then I was so happy with that. At that moment I crossed the finish line, it was something I think I'll never forget that.
For me, this day has been an unbelievable day. I cannot explain. I've been this morning to the course and I saw there's going to be a hard job today. And I must say, those 2 rounds, my horse was phenomenal.
And whoever wins today, the rider must ride and the horse must jump in a phenomenal fashion. We have yet to see a clear round. Former champion Olivier Phillipaerts underway now aboard H&M Challenge. His win in 2012, the first ever for the Phillipaerts family. His father Ludo, close so many times, particularly with the great stallion Darko. So now we watch the next generation. Each year they become more firmly entrenched. Do the Phillipaerts twins at the top of this sport, now in their mid-20s. One has to start wondering if, watching some of the mistakes the riders have made on this next line, if there's a bit of a mental game being played right now between their own ears. It is rideable. We've seen it accomplished. Let's see if they can get it done. A rail coming in, none coming out. So we've seen A, B, and C all play a role there. No one has got it to perfection yet. And there's a late rail. That'll be costly for Phillipaerts. As he was sitting on 4, he takes it to 8, and that will make it difficult for consideration to round number 2 with just 12 advancing. Mark Wallace, Vice President, Corporate Affairs and Chief of Staff for CP, looks on from the center of the ring, where there's some element of warmth from the heaters out there on a very cool day here at Spruce Meadows. Great veteran Hans-Dieter Dreyer, Hansi as they call him on the team, with cool and easy. Well, we know it's going to be cool out there. We're not sure it's going to be easy for this 13-year-old Holsteiner, as the great veteran of the German team gets underway. So a rail early for Hansi. He'll have to leave it on that if he wants a probability of advancing to round number 2. We have some of the biggest names in the sport still to come. So the veteran now, having watched so many before him try and get through this next triple combination, sets up the gray, jumps in, he didn't have enough momentum coming in, and you've got to carry that forward momentum if you have any chance of getting set up for the B element, and that was not going to be the case for Hans-Dieter Dreyer today. So Cool and Easy stops the clock, as with all of these stops at the A and B particularly, the footing is starting to get torn up. You can see the jump crew going to work there, and we'll see now if Hans-Dieter Dreyer elects to continue. Here's what's happened. He comes off the triple. The horse reached very, very hard there, and as he came in, he kind of stuck, right? Jumps in, bellies out, sees the water, drops his head, puts on the brakes, party over. So these riders really need to see someone come through there and do it right now. They're looking a bit long in the face as the rain starts on the international ring. Just to add insult to injury, Gregory Wathelet of Belgium aboard Eldorado. We'll see if he can put it all together. Charging hard early, wanting to really wake up this horse to get things underway. The 12-year-old stallion needs to be focused on every one of these obstacles over this course that stretches 570 meters around the international ring and tests every element of top international show jumping. The use of color, the use of distances, the use of the crowd. And then there's the size. All of the fences at or near the top of international specifications. "12.5 feet of water, easily handled by this beautiful stallion, and then nicely over the planks. Wathelet, such a strong rider, really. Oh, and there he has an obstacle we've not seen come down all that often tonight, the Toulouse Spires. Jumped in boldly, just happened to catch it with the back legs. That can happen to anybody, but really got the distances right. That will be of little comfort to Gregory Wathelet as he finishes up on 8 jumping faults, and he will be heartbroken by that little let up at obstacle number 10. We've hardly seen that come down at all today. Back legs, not quite able, not quite careful enough, giving that vertical enough respect.
So we have 10 combinations.
Is a clear round in the cards? We will find out when we return to the CP International presented by Rolex. The CP International presented by Rolex from the Spruce Meadows Masters on a blustery and cool day. The best in the world chasing the sport's biggest prize. And there's a look at our standings to date. Going Global leads the way for Ireland, the fastest of the 4 falls. Unbelievably, we have yet to see a clear round. The top 12 will advance to round number 2. And right now, the fast 4s are looking pretty good as we get into the latter stages of the order. Kent Farrington of the United States, he loves a good test, and that he has got today with his Olympic partner, Voyeur. A man who really began his rise to the top of this sport here in the international ring with a young horse named Yoseko many years ago. Yoseko's still part of his stable, a stable that now maybe has the deepest bench in all of the sport. And the first liner on that team is this horse, Voyeur, with Kent Farrington. Winner previously of the Atco Queen Elizabeth II Cup here at Spruce Meadows. Oh, so close to winning the Grand Prix of Aachen just a year ago. Member of a terrific Olympic effort in Rio earlier this year. Still to come will be Voyeur's Olympic teammate with McClain Ward in the irons. Later in this competition, Double H Azur. You can see the reins are starting to fall steadily. The vast majority of the seats here at Spruce Meadows are, of course, covered. That doesn't help the riders at all, or our cameramen who are putting up with what has turned into a cool, not yet miserable, but quite unpleasant day out on the international ring, especially if you're not able to master this next 100 meters of the course. Let's see how it goes for Farrington. Coming in hard, nicely done. There you go. Much to the delight of this crowd here at Spruce Meadows. Now keep it on clear, Mr. Farrington, and you will go to the top of the standings. And answer the call he does, as he has so many times before. Kent Farrington and Voyeur show indeed it is possible, and they did make it look rather easy under the most trying of conditions. He set up perfectly to hit the triple, and that all played into his hand. Nicely in, distance, distance, and out. Tick that box and get ready for round number 2. Spectacular effort by Kent Farrington. Now, we'll see how that affects those that are following. They know it's possible now. They know the conditions are less than ideal. It's cool and damp. The ground is good, the course is tough. He will not relinquish a smile, Mr. Farrington. He knows the day is only partially done as the reins let off a little bit to welcome one of the all-time greats, Meredith Michaels-Beerbaum. What a story this is. She went to the Rio Games as the alternate with this horse for Team Germany and ended up leaving with a medal. However, that will not be the case today, I doubt, as she has the first fence down on course here, and that is a heartbreaker for Meredith Michaels-Beerbaum on Fibonacci. My goodness me. Her signature style on this big gray horse. Watch it as it takes off and kind of leaves her behind, and then she catches up. And again. So difficult to keep your focus after having the first fence down. Not unlike Ernie Els at this year's Masters tournament with his multi-putt performance on hole number 1 of the final day. She's got to keep her focus now. Find the distance. Nicely in. Tries hard and out. Not perfect, but pretty darn good for the big gray. She could not afford that. So, well, she did have trouble at the combinations. The trouble started at fence number 1 and then the last 2 obstacles as well. So not what we expected from the great German veteran, Meredith Michaels-Beerbaum. That's not the way you want to start the competition. The lightest of taps and down it comes. Meredith Michaels-Beerbaum with her own signature style departs the ring with 17 faults. And speaking of veterans with signature style, Roger-Yves Bost of France will be the next to go. Very different style than that of Meredith. Nonetheless, it is the way that Bosti has ridden for France for the better part of a quarter of a century, including this summer as part of an Olympic team gold in Rio. He is underway right now with Coup de l'Horloge. 12-year-old stallion that he's brought along throughout his career, very much used to each other. That will come in handy as they take on this Leopoldo Palacios design course. As he gets into this course, watch the way that he kicks his feet back. I'm talking about the rider, not the horse here. Takes them way back onto the horse's flank as he goes over the fence. It's looking a little bit unorganized right now. They'll have to sort this out before they head to the water. Balancing him before the big set of planks. Now towards the Toulouse Spires from the World Equestrian Games in Normandy. A master. Roger-Yves Bost shows the rest of the sport how that should be ridden, even if it is in an unconventional way. No problems with the clock, just an early rail, and Roger-Yves Bost will be shaking his head just in frustration and disappointment for that early rail with the stallion. Just not quite able to cover the oxer. He hits it with the belly pad there. This is where they started to get a little unorganized, but then they sorted it all out, and Bosti handled that triple combination like the master he is. 4 faults. So most certainly in combination with that time, he will be preparing for a second round course. Lorenzo De Luca, one of the young stars of this sport, an officer in the Italian Air Force with Ensor. This is a beautiful horse and a terrific combination. They have what it takes to get around this course. They've showed a confidence this week, a poise. This is their first ever Spruce Meadows Masters. Perhaps they don't know what they're up against. Perhaps that will be a good thing. They've had nothing but success this week, and they're coming in now knowing it can be done. So Lorenzo De Luca and Ensor, here they go. Can we have a second clear round? Ooh, bit of a touch there. No problems with the Dutch bicycle. Carrying lots of poise. Good momentum. The gelding looks very confident over the water, now balancing up for these very, very careful planks. So far, so good. Giving lots of respect to this triple bar and knowing how he wants to come into the combination. Balance, balance. Nicely in. Perfectly checked. Oh, and perfectly out. Earning his wings through the triple combination. Can our Air Force officer post declare a bit of a check there? Gets organized. Charging hard to the last fence. He's over, and he's over within the time allowed, and that, my friends, is how it's done. Lorenzo De Luca of Italy joins Kent Farrington as our rides of perfection thus far in the first round. On to the second round he goes with a smile on his face. A little bit different than the approach you saw from Farrington, who still had the game face on. Luca is going to enjoy this a bit with Enzor. They can fix that tape that's come off the boot when they get into the warm-up area here. I'm sure that'll all be looked after once they report to the stewards regardless. Germany's Philipp Weishaupt thrilled us all earlier this year with his historic win in the Aachen Grand Prix. He's back with his 9-year-old stallion, Conval.
It was unbelievable, especially for a German rider to win at the home country. That very, very important Grand Prix. It's a lifetime experience, and I'm really, really happy about how everything went, and it just is meant to happen that day. Here in Spruce Meadows, I'm sure I would have not won the Grand Prix. That was a perfect setup for Aachen. To get him here on the big grass fields for 4 weeks made him really comfortable. And so I cantered in Aachen in the first day in the ring, and he felt just like home, and that made it so much easier.
Well, let's see if that sense of familiarity returns. This is just a 9-year-old stallion, remember, and this year has enjoyed great success in the Spruce Meadows Summer Series, winner of the Grand Prix of Aachen, and now here in the CP International presented by Rolex, looking for his second win in the Rolex Grand Slam in this calendar year. That's a lot to ask of a young horse and a young rider. Let's see if they're up to it. His win in Aachen, so convincing. One-time fault over 2 rounds. No jump off. Clear winner. Seems very, very comfortable thus far. Now let's see if that maturity can set in as they head towards the Liverpools. And, a little bit of a scare. Bold horse, but there you had the bravery, the carefulness, and the scope sort of left the room for a couple of obstacles there. But what an effort by this 9-year-old. He has got to be very, very satisfied, not with the result per se, but after jumping into the triple combination, that horse showed the heart it had. Here you see him coming in, gets a little bit overreached, rail gets tied up kind of in between his feet there, but he keeps powering on, just not able to get up and respect the top rails quite enough. But that's as an impressive 12-fault performance as you will ever see in international show jumping by the youngster. Steve Guerdat's the reigning World Cup champion. This Grand Prix has eluded him his entire career.
You know, of course, the Rolex Grand Slam is something amazing for us and for our sport. But honestly, the show they picked, you want to be good anywhere. So I'm not thinking Rolex Grand Slam or bonus whenever I ride in. I just want to be on top of this Grand Prix one day, and I'll try it this year again.
One of the greats of the sport, who at one time, as the Olympic champion of show jumping, was the only summer Olympic gold medalist in Switzerland, and as such his celebrity stock was really unprecedented. Earlier this year with this horse, winner of the World Cup final in Gothenburg, Sweden, and of course he has great depth in his stable. Nino, his Olympic championship mount from the London Games, is on a well-earned rest right now after the Rio Games, but he doesn't really downgrade much by going to this 10-year-old Westphalian gelding, Corbinian. Steve Guerdat will give the respect that number 10 needs, but he's looking forward to this next line. He'll take a bit of a wide berth here. Time should not be a problem. He's a very efficient, fast rider. Cuts in a little in the inside there to give this horse a chance to set up, to come into the combination, chasing hard. Oh! that is very, very unfortunate. They rode it perfectly, they hit the distance as well, but the horse seemed to just kick out, and then again. So 2 fences in a row, almost hung up or suspended in air. The big gelding is kicked out with his back legs, and I think that you can see by Steve's expression, he knows that that was very unfortunate. Jumps in, finds it, pushes hard, finds it again. Now watch the back legs. Little bit of a double clutch there in the air. And then, of course, it happened at the final fence, too. So for 4 faults, they would have been sitting nicely for round number 2. The same can't be said, having had that second rail down. Plenty of years left for that combination, as the big gelding is just 10 years of age. This is Ursula. 2 years this mare has been off. She's never won a Grand Prix in her career, yet at one time was the #1 ranked horse in the world. Scott Brash thinks the world of her. He thinks so much of her, he's going to let her spend a little extra time down there as his 45 seconds is counting down here on the course. A year ago with the great Hello Sanctos, he made history by winning not only the CP International presented by Rolex, but also what was thought to be the impossible, the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping, with his consecutive wins in Geneva, Aachen, and Spruce Meadows. Now with Ursula, the charismatic Scotsman will look to make history, the first step in defending his title here at Spruce Meadows at the Masters. It is not without precedent. However, it is very rare. The last time it happened, the only time it happened, 2000-2001, Rodrigo Pessoa with Gandini Lianos. He loves this horse. He loves this course. And as a Scotsman, I'm sure he's not the least bit uncomfortable in this weather. Steps over the water nicely, very efficiently. The crowd very dialed into the storyline of Scott Brash. He became an instant fan favorite here at Spruce Meadows a year ago. Hugely popular winner. Now to the combination. Nicely in. Oh, perfection. Going to have to be mindful of the clock, but I think he should be okay. Checking down the final line, over the final fence. Oh, by 6/100ths of a second. Scott Brash gets the job done and posts our third clear. Look at Ursula coming into the triple here. Ears forward. Brash right on the mark, giving her head, letting her find her distances, keeping quiet in the saddle. That's the way it's done. Brave, scopy, and careful. Scott Brash's Ursula. Christian Ahlmann, #1 ranked rider in the world, a member of the German Olympic effort from Rio, where they, in a jump off with Team Canada, scored team bronze. Christian Ahlmann. Underway with the 12-year-old stallion, Applize. Such a strong rider. Very tall man. Long leg, lets the horses do their job, and despite his size, does not become a burden on them. He'll have watched the likes of Scott Brash and Kent Farrington. Oh, a foot at the water. There's a surprise. The horse looked like it came in well, looked like it respected the water, got a good distance. Not quite able to cover the more than 12 feet of water. So sitting on 4 faults as they head to the triple. Ooh, ooh. Little bit of indecision there by both horse and rider. Costly indecision. And Christian Ahlmann settles the big chestnut down and voluntarily retires from the competition. Just looked like about 2 strides out from there was either a miscommunication or indecision on behalf of horse and rider on what was being asked. And the big chestnut dodged off, and with it ended their chances of winning their first ever Spruce Meadows Grand Prix. Here's a man that's well versed in winning Grand Prix titles, not only here at Spruce Meadows, but around the world, and is no stranger to the Olympic medal podium. This is McClain Ward with Double H Azur. What a horse this is. 10 years of age. 10 years of age. Has already won an Olympic medal. Has already won the Spruce Meadows Atco Queen Elizabeth II Cup. And is now looking to jump a clear round and join the ranks for the second round here at Spruce Meadows. Underway, McClain Ward. Immense, almost immeasurable scope on this horse, the way it powers out over the fences, the trainability, and what McClain Ward has done with this horse over the three years that he's had her, and he recognized her to be the quality he was looking for in his next championship mount. This horse has had the luxury of having the Rothschild ahead of him in some respects on the depth chart, while she learned the ins and out of this sport. Now into the combination. Beautiful. McClain Ward and Double H Azur make it look easy. And much like Kent Farrington, this is not the time for a smile. So the American keeps steely and game-faced out in the international ring to get ready for round number 2. When it's done that way, it doesn't look too difficult, does it? Double H Azur and McClain Ward with a perfect trip down that line, featuring the 12 ABC triple combination.
Because we have the Olympic gold medalists left to come here in the first round. For France, Kevin Staut for joy.
McClain Ward will leave that round behind and prepare now for the second round of competition. Kevin Staut has 570 meters of international ring in front of him. The Olympic team gold medalist from France will look to join countryman Roger-Yves Bost in round number 2. He will need a quick 4 faults to ensure that. Kevin Staut of France, last to go in the first round here at Spruce Meadows. Joy is an 11-year-old Belgium warm blood horse. Has a great feel under Kevin Staut, as do all of his horses. He's a classic French equitation rider. Look at that effort over the water. Balance, balance, balance. Pops right over 1.60 m vertical on completely flat cups. So now they're carrying great pace. He'll take some time here, allow the horse to respect the triple bar for his setup for the triple combination. Nicely in. Oh, a little bit of a stutter there. That was too bad. It's like he had a little bit of what we call a rack in between the A and B elements. Tried very hard to get out. Not quite able to get the landing gear up in time. Holds it at 4. Yes, he does at 82.12. Kevin Staut and For Joy finish up as our final entry in round number 1 of the CP International, presented by Rolex. Coming in here, just watch this little stutter right there. And with that, just a little loss of balance and not quite able to be as efficient and powerful as necessary. So Kevin Staut will take 4 faults forward to the second round and his first round time of 82.12. There's a look at the 12 that have come and conquered here at Spruce Meadows. Just 4 clear rounds, a couple posted by the red, white, and blue of the United States. The red, white, and blue of France cannot be counted out, nor can Great Britain. And there's a couple of young Dutchmen, Michel Hendricks and Ruben Romp, have also qualified. Round 2 of the CP International, presented by Rolex, when we return.
Pure Leaf iced tea starts with the finest tea leaves. Carefully selected and slow brewed for a taste you can truly savor. We take our time. You take yours. Pure Leaf. Real brewed iced tea.
Round number 2 of the CP International. The build and the inspection underway. 40 horse rider combinations started the day. 12 have advanced, including that young man from Italy, Lorenzo De Luca. Scott Brash looking to defend his title from Great Britain. French veteran Roger-Yves Bost. Close so often. Will this be his year? What a course it was. 570 meters, just a handful of clear rounds, and most certainly it was the triple combination, 12 A, B, and C, that took its toll more than any other portion of the course. A clear round was possible. Kent Farrington proved how to do it riding the great horse Voyeur. He moves on to the second round.
Kind of in the back of my mind already. I'm already on to round number 2. Still a lot of jumping left to go. A very difficult track, obviously. I thought my horse was great, and I hope we can stay on that form.
It took 31 horses to get our first clear round of the competition, and then Lorenzo De Luca aboard Ensor showed it was possible.
I have a big horse, so I thought to do straight away first ride after the big water, and then after a while, the triple combination make a lot of troubles, but luckily for me my horse is brave and scopy, so he jumped perfectly.
Brave, scopy, and careful. That's what it takes on the final day of the Spruce Meadows Masters. Case in point, Double H Azure with McClain Ward. This 10-year-old mare ate up the international ring. At 5 years, her senior, Ursula, the 15-year-old mare under Scott Brash, showed us why she was at one time the number 1 ranked horse in the world. She could well be today at the end of competition. A look at the young Dutchman, Ruben Romp, coming up the ramp from the warm-up area south of the international ring here at Spruce Meadows. 12 horse rider combinations have advanced to the second round of the CP International, presented by Rolex. Here is a look at the order of go and the scores they will bring from the first round. Clear rounds, a very rare commodity. However, 4 horse rider combinations were able to solve and answer all of the questions over the first round track. Kent Farrington has earned the right to go last by virtue of the fastest clear. So, 2-round combined score, and Ruben Romp will be the first into the International Stadium to compete over this 415-meter track. 11 numbered obstacles, 14 jumping efforts in this second round of competition. There's a look at the 11-year-old mare, Otis Tiavanta, Ruben Romp, next generation of the great Dutch tradition. Bert Romp, of course, having carried the colors of the Netherlands into this ring and around the world on many occasions. His son Ruben now seeing if he can have another Dutch entry added onto the magnificent trophy that is awarded at the conclusion of this competition, and begin his journey perhaps in the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping. $3 million on the line today, the world's largest Grand Prix, the sport's biggest test. Cool conditions. We are underway. Not only is there a huge technical and scope test lying ahead of these riders, they must maintain that pace of 400 meters per minute to come in under the time allowed of 67 seconds. Time always a factor in a Leopoldo Palacios designed course. Dry ditch, and now onto the combination that's been laid out here in round number 2. Oxer vertical. Leopoldo asking these horses to jump big and wide, to be very pliable, flexible on related distances. This is a very tricky fence. Big white vertical in front of the grandstand. Down it comes, standing over 1.60 meters on flat cups. Pair of massive oxers here. And now Ruben Romp will jump the final Liverpool and bend to the left down this final line of 4 fences, commencing with the Sydney Lanterns. And then the Mafia rails, a vertical oxer combination, 10 AB, as he now moves on towards the Beijing Dragons, the final obstacle on course. 5 faults in the first round and an identical score here in round number 2. So, to the top of the standings he goes with 10 faults over 2 rounds. There's a look at the only rail on course, that tricky white vertical, standing over 1.60 meters, all by itself on the west side of the massive international stadium here at Spruce Meadows. The 2-round total for the Netherlands, 10. The sound of the bell commences the 45-second countdown clock for the lone Belgium rider to advance to the second round of competition. Belgium has enjoyed great success recently in this event, with both Peter de Vos and Olivier Phillipaerts jumping to victory in recent years. And now it's a Spruce Meadows CP International rookie underway, Karel Cox, aboard Core. He's the slowest of the 4 falters, and thus his second position on the starting grid in the group of 12 that have advanced to round 2, carrying some good pace at the moment aboard this 14-year-old Belgium warm-blood gelding. Here's that very tricky vertical we saw down with Ruben Romp, and we see it down with Karel Cox as well. So that could play into the minds of the riders still to come. No one has been able to get over it successfully, as a huge crowd continues to build here at Spruce Meadows on a less than ideal day. Temperature hovering around 5 degrees, a little bit of moisture in the air, wind blowing, but more than 50,000 people on the grounds at the moment, watching the best in the world try to rise to the top of the sport. And there is a second rail on course for Karel Cox and a time fault. So as we suspected, the time allowed will be tight. Here's a look at the first of the 2 rails, this tricky CP vertical, standing over 1.60 meters over on the west side of the stadium. The lightest of touches will bring it down on those flat cups. The second of the young Dutch riders to have advanced to the second round of the CP International, Michel Hendricks, bringing, of course, the great tradition of the Hendricks family. Emil Hendricks, his uncle, longtime competitor here in the international ring at Spruce Meadows through many Masters tournaments with his great mare Finesse. And of course, Michel's father, Paul, one of the most renowned horsemen in the Netherlands. He's making his debut in the second round of the world's biggest Grand Prix now, aboard Bailey's. This is a 10-year-old, and as you would expect, Dutch warm blood gelding. Moving on towards the first of the combinations. Nicely handled. Bailey's and Michel Hendricks carrying 4 faults from the first round. First one to be able to handle the vertical. That's encouraging as he turns back now towards the pair of oxers. Chestnut handles those. Now to the Liverpool Tower Bridge vertical. And the final line. Will we see the first clear round of round number 2? A rub there. Oh, and he cuts down 10B. The back rail of the oxer comes down. So 4 faults plus a time fault. The trend continues. 5 faults here in round number 2. As the clock is tough, as is this course. Here's a look at the only rail. There you see the breakaway cups coming down on the backside of the 10B obstacle. It has those, what we call the mafia rails here, the pinstripes that can be a little bit of an optical illusion to the horses coming down that line. But for the moment, Michel Hendricks leads the way at Spruce Meadows with a 2-round total of 9 faults. Our attention now turns to Brazil and what has been one of the best jumping combinations in the world over the last 12 months. Young Pedro Veniss aboard Quabri, the 12-year-old Selle Francais stallion, with such a nice, easygoing, fluid, athletic manner. There's nothing, it seems, that this horse can't jump. Had its first rail of the 2016 Masters tournament in round number 1, but was very prompt getting around the course in 84.14 seconds, and now has a second rail. And every rail that comes down on the international ring today is very costly, can cost 6 figures indeed, as you look down the prize payout here in the $3 million CP International, presented by Rolex. He will try and keep it at 4 now. If he does that, his 2-round total would be 8 faults and would put him, for the moment, in the lead, as we are now well into the 4-fault horses from round number 1. Balancing up, now the oxer, 1 obstacle left, time looks to be all right. Adds a stride there. Oh! Would not have expected that. Another time fault. So, our young Brazilian combination of Quabri and Pedro Veniss finish with 5 faults in round number 2. There's a look at that first combination, 4AB, coming down and with it 4 faults. 2-round total of 9, as he ties now with Michel Hendricks at the top of the leaderboard on 9 faults over 2 rounds. His Olympic teammate now enters the stadium here. This is Eduardo Menezes aboard Quintal, the 11-year-old gelding that Eduardo has ridden in the last 12 months in the Pan American Games in Toronto and the Olympic Games in Rio, and now at the Spruce Meadows Masters for the second time, and into round number 2 of the CP International with 4 faults from the first round. Underway. The course showed a little bit of fatigue near the end of the first round of competition. It will be interesting to see
if he has the fitness level now and all the right stuff to get through this very demanding second round course. There is a rail down, the back rail of obstacle number 4A, and with it 4 faults. Struggling a little bit over that Oxer as well as they turn back to the vertical. Nicely done, veering off to the right there, trying to save some precious real estate so time does not become a factor. There's a second Oxer down on course, having trouble covering the spread distances of these Oxers, and there's 2 of them left on course. Here's the first of the 2. Down it comes for 12 faults. Will they get over the Beijing Dragons? Yes, they do, and they do so within the time allowed. However, 3 rails on course, all coming at the Oxers. Quintal showing a little bit of fatigue, I suspect, here as the Masters tournament comes to a close for this combination from Brazil. Their 2-round total of 16 faults departs the stadium with them as we turn our attention and cast an eye into the international ring with the bell sounding for our next entry to go here in the CP International presented by Rolex. $3 million on the line today. Greg Broderick of Ireland prepares the 10-year-old gelding Going Global for the second round of competition. They bring with them 4 faults from the first round. We have yet to see this second round track jumped clean. Will this impressive 10-year-old get the job done? This is Ireland's lone representative from the Rio Games. Ireland failed to qualify as a team, and Greg Broderick got the nod from the Irish Federation to carry the colors in Rio. They struggled on the first day, and after that were very impressive, so let's see if they can carry that forward now. If they can keep all of the rails in the cups, they will go to the top of the standings here. Very tricky vertical here. Very nicely ridden as they now move on to this pair of Oxers that has taken its toll. 7AB jumping in nicely, balance and out, no problem whatsoever, and over the Tower Bridge, Liverpool. Sight in the final line. You can hear him calming this beautiful gelding. 3 jumps left, vertical, Oxer, and now on to the Beijing Dragons. Time looks to be all right. Maybe not, ticking on as he balances up there. Oh, 1 time fault. So Ireland goes to the top of the standings on a 2-round total of 5. And there you see Greg Broderick saluting the crowd here, delighted with the effort of this 10-year-old horse. No problems at all. He knew the time would be tight. He went to the throttle to get across the finish line. And indeed, he leads the way now on 5 faults. Terrific effort as his waiting game will start now with those that bettered him in the first round of competition still to come. A cool day has not dampened the competition or the electricity in the air on the international ring at Spruce Meadows. Second round of the CP International presented by Rolex underway. Ireland leads the way, Greg Broderick having just posted 1 time fault in round number 2. But some of the best in the world still to come. Here's a list at the 6 remaining, including French superstar Kevin Staut, who with For Joy, his 11-year-old Belgium warm blood, will look to knock Ireland off the top of the standings. To do so, there is no room for error. He carries 4 faults from the first round and will require a clear round here to go to the top of the standings. This event, of course, is a 2-round total point. Those tied for first after 2 rounds would go to a jump-off. Jump-offs are indeed rare in the CP International, as they are in all of the Rolex Grand Slam events. Kevin Staut underway. Spectacular technical rider. Has never won this coveted Grand Prix, although his resume includes many major wins around the world. Most recently, he was on the gold medal podium in Rio with the rest of his French team, celebrating their gold medal in team show jumping at the Rio Olympic Games. Currently on a clear round, making it look completely manageable with 4 jumps left. Little rub there. The gelding responds nicely. 1 obstacle left. Time looks to be all right. Kevin Staut of France goes to the top of the standings. He leads the way now with a 2-round total of 4 faults. An amazing second round performance by Forjoy, his 11-year-old gelding. So the waiting game now commences for Kevin Staut, sitting on 4 faults. He knows there are so many places on this course that can catch horse and rider that he is certainly in play as he leads the way departing the stadium.
And Ruben, come pick up a cooler from the rail, please.
Satisfied he can do no more, his attention will turn to his French teammate now, Roger-Yves Bost, who has had remarkable success around the world through his career. And on this ring, on this day, he has done very well, yet he has never won the CP International. Will this be the year with Concours, his 12-year-old Selle Francais stallion? Bosti rode with Kevin Staut to Team Gold at the Rio Games, and now he's looking to better his teammate here on the final day of the Spruce Meadows Masters. He needs to go clear. Big power by the stallion through the oxers. Now on to the final 100 meters of this 415-meter course, trying to balance up the stallion for this tricky vertical. The last combination now, flapping hard. Time should be all right. He's pushing hard to the final oxer. Oh, he knew he needed a little bit more forward carriage there as they cut down the final rail, and with it 4 faults. And any hope of victory today comes down with the last obstacle on course. There you can see the breakaway cups coming down, and Roger-Yves Bost knowing their chances of victory had evaporated. 2-fault total of 8 as Kevin Staut leads the way and is pacing feverishly back in the international warm-up here. Very pleased with the result of his horse, as he should be. An excellent effort by these two over 2 rounds of competition. He's sitting on that 4-fault result and a time of 82.12 from the first round. And it should be noted that that first round time is used to break placings in the final standings here. So it's a very important element of the scoring here on Rolex Grand Slam Day. This man knows all about the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping. A year ago, he accomplished what many thought would be impossible with his great horse, Hello Sanctos, winning the Rolex Grand Slam by virtue of his 3 consecutive wins. Geneva, Aachen, and then at the Spruce Meadows Masters. It's a new year now with a new horse, a veteran horse, the 15-year-old mare Ursula, who Scott was describing off the top of our program, has returned brilliantly from an extended absence due to an injury. He's underway now. Scott Brash from Great Britain. The first of our clear rounds. Scott Brash posted a clear round over that extremely demanding first round of competition aboard Ursula. He was the slowest of the clears, so he comes back as the first of 4 that we will see who enter round number 2 on perfect scorecards. So far, so good for the lovely bay mare. Quietly balancing her now for this massive vertical. A little rub there, but it did not come down. You won't see that often. Look at her focused on the job at hand, ears forward, responding to the hand of Scott Brash. Balancing her up now for this final line. Will we have a clear-cut leader? Brilliantly ridden through the combination with 1 to go. Time looks to be good. Charging hard. Scott Brash continues to be an extraordinary talent with extraordinary success in the international ring here, as he and Ursula post a double clear round to force the hand of the 3 that remained. Here's a look at them taking on, just a little rub there at the top of that large fence number 6. It does not come down, and Brash knows the pressure's now on the 3 that remain. Will he win again as the only double clear, or will he be jumping off as Ursula and Scott Brash depart the stadium? Their mind now goes to the jump-off course and whether or not they will be coming in to compete again or coming in to reap the rewards as the only double clear. That answer lies not far away. Spruce Meadows Masters rookie Lorenzo de Luca, about to embark on the biggest challenge of his career, and the same could be said for his 12-year-old gelding Ensor. De Luca, a member of the Italian Air Force, and also a very talented international show jumper in his own right. Posted one of the coveted clears in the first round of competition, and this combination looked to be in good form coming into round number 2. Plenty of jumping left. The ground is holding up remarkably well considering the precipitation and cool temperatures that greeted the athletes today. We've seen no slipping, great push to get over these massive obstacles that are at the very top of FEI specifications. De Luca focusing in on the Sydney lights, and now the Mafia combination. Nicely done. 1 left to go. Will he be jumping off? Oh, heartbreak. Look at the clock. 68:21. Not a rail in the international ring today for Ensor. However, a little slow, perhaps a little too much hang time. This gelding was really powering out over the fences. 1 time fault. In many years, a 2-round score of 1 time fault would have laid claim to victory to the CP International. That will not be the case in 2016, as this man has posted a double clear with his mare Ursula. Scott Brash continues his waiting game, keeping the mare warm, keeping her moving in the international warm-up area. And our attention turns to McClain Ward of the United States with one of the most talented young horses in the world, Double H Azur, a member of the silver medal effort for the United States equestrian team in Rio. Horse that jumped in the 2nd round of the CP International a year ago, and save for a bit of a mistake down the final line, might have challenged Hello Sanctos in a jump-off. McClain Ward would like nothing better than to get there this year. Perfection thus far in round number 2. 4 obstacles left. Look at her power over that big vertical, and now to the final combination. Effortless. 1 to go. McClain Ward of the United States aboard Double H Azure answers the challenge of the second round course, and with that we have been assured a jump off at the Spruce Meadows Masters. Here's a look at them coming down the final line. Such pressure. He knows what it takes to win here. He's done so before with the great mare Sapphire, and he will look to do so again today, as we know for certain that Double H Azure and Ursula will be coming back to jump off in the international ring at Spruce Meadows with one entry left to go. Catching their breath, soaking up the environment of the international ring, and for certain, McClain Ward has now started to turn his attention towards the jump-off course that will await he and Double H Azure. Will it be a three-horse jump-off? This man certainly hopes so. Kent Farrington, who has enjoyed an astronomical rise over the last 4 seasons to the very top of the FEI World Rankings, and en route won many of the sport's most coveted titles. Recently, a silver medal at the Olympic Games as part of the United States Team Silver with this horse Voyeur. Kent Farrington underway, looking to force the hand of McClain Ward and Scott Brash, should he make it to the jump off. Certainly one of the fastest riders in the sport. He recorded the fastest first round clear and earned the right to be the last to go in round number 2. Kent Farrington. Oh my goodness, brings down the back rail of the first combination on course 4A, and with that any hopes of victory today, and now he must keep it to 4. He must keep it to 4 faults if he wants to finish in the top 4 here. We know that Lorenzo de Luca has a 2-round total of 1 time fault. Such a tough break early in the course as he balances Voyeur into this final combination. 1 left to go. Time, of course, not an issue. My goodness, Kent Farrington bringing down the backside of the first auction of the 4AB combination, and with it, any hopes of making it to the jump off today. After that, flawless, but also academic. The second round of the CP International in the books. Who will win this leg of the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping? 2 remain in play. The day started with 40, and this man, Leopoldo Palacios of Caracas, Venezuela, authored the test that culled it down to 12 in the second round. And now there are 2 jumping off at the CP International presented by Rolex. 320 meters, 7 obstacles, 8 jumping efforts. That's what lies between Ursula and Double H Azure, Scott Brash and McClain Ward, on who will be on the summit of international show jumping on the final day of the Spruce Meadows Masters. The sun, for the first time, has come out today on the international ring to welcome the young Scotsman. First of 2 to go. Sizing up this 320-meter track, McClain Ward in the enviable position of knowing what will have to be done to win once Brash and Ursula have finished up. They're underway. Combination stays in from the second round, nicely handled by the beautiful mare. Fighting a bit at the Liverpool there, but she gets over it. And to the final fence. A perfect day for Ursula and Scott Brash. 3 clear rounds, 41.19. There's nothing else they can do. She mastered 3 of the most technical and demanding courses. And now a brief waiting game as Scott Brash must be satisfied with this mare, former #1 in the world, the great veteran mare, and now the youngster Double H Azure, just 10 years of age, jumping off at the CP International, comes through the clock tower with McClain Ward. The final horse on course in the Spruce Meadows Masters, and it's really very simple. They must go clear, and they must do so in a time faster than 41.19 seconds if the gold medal is in their sights and the possibility of a Rolex Grand Slam journey. And the hopes end early. Obstacle number 2 comes down, and with it any chance of victory. McClain Ward continuing on now, assured of the silver medal, putting his 10-year-old mare, a superstar by any measure, through the final paces of her Spruce Meadows Masters over this 320-meter course, over the Rolex signature fence, and now towards the final obstacle on course. Handling it with ease. However, it was obstacle number 2 that came down, and when it came down, a smile came to that man's face. He defends his title at the Spruce Meadows Masters, a year ago with Hello Sanctos, this year with Ursula. Scott Brash of Great Britain, with what he's termed a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which he has now experienced on 2 consecutive years. First time since Rodrigo Pessoa defended his title in this event that we have a repeat winner in the CP International. As a disappointed McClain Ward departs the stadium, and there you see Scott Brash being congratulated by bronze medalist Lorenzo de Luca. What a day of sport, what a champion, and what a storyline begins again as his journey in the Rolex Grand Slam with Ursula commences at Spruce Meadows, with Geneva and Aachen now on the radar over the next 12 months. There's how we finished up in the international ring today. Great Britain, the United States, and Italy to the medal podium. Heartbreak for Kent Farrington. What a group of 12 that advanced to the second round of competition. No one, however, was going to take it away from Scott Brash of Great Britain today. He jumps to victory with Ursula. We will meet our champion when we return to Spruce Meadows.
At WestJet, we believe that we can go further together. In today's climate, that means working together to make sure we can all travel safely. Since the onset of the COVID crisis, our teams have been working around the clock to develop and implement new procedures and cleaning protocols to keep you and our crews safe. And this work will continue to evolve. When you're ready to travel again, know that we will be ready too. On behalf of all of us at WestJet, take care and stay well.
Paying attention to the smallest detail. Getting to the destination the most efficient way possible. Ensuring all individual elements are working together to drive high performance. And making sure you do it consistently. Being the best comes down to perfect execution. That's not just good show jumping. That's good railroading. We love a sport that rewards precision.
Ladies and gentlemen, history in today's CP International, defending the title in heroic manner, Scott Brash of the UK with Ursula. A perfect scorecard, defending. How do you feel?
Yeah, amazing. It's amazing to come back to Spruce Meadows. You know, I must say, quite often I get asked, you know, what is the best horse show in the world, and actually, you know, I always, you know, I wonder, you know, Spruce Meadows, Geneva, you know, they're fantastic shows, but one thing you feel about Spruce Meadows is the history. You feel that all around, and yeah, I just love it. For me, it's the best show in the world.
Well, you made it special for everybody here today who enjoyed this spectacular victory. We brought a little weather to make you feel at home. Tell us about this mare and her wonderful effort today.
I'm so thrilled for this mare, Ursula. She's been through so much. She was #1 horse in the world a few years ago, and then she had really bad injury and was plagued with injury for 2 years, really. So now she's 15. She's come back to the top end of the sport. She was #1 horse in the world, but only ever came second in Grand Prix. She never ever won a Grand Prix. So she's picked the right one to win.
She has picked the right one to win, I can assure you of that. Mark Wallace, you see some of the best athletes, the best sporting events in the world. Your impressions of what happened here today in the international ring?
Today was truly historic. What a day. We saw everything today on British Day. A little bit of rain, a little bit of sun, everything came out. 3 clear rounds today on such a difficult course. Congratulations, Scott, and have you back as our defending champion. Truly remarkable. Congratulations.
Well said, Mark. History is about to continue. I am going to make our way through this presentations area and invite the champions check to step forward as we continue our champions presentation. Mark, if you would, please. You're about to see some eye-popping history made in international show jumping, ladies and gentlemen.
So, as I said, today's a historic day. This is the largest check in show jumping history. $1 million to our champion. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, $1 million for Scott, Brash, and Ursula as they lay claim to the CP International 2016 edition. That'll bring a smile to our Scotsman's face. And now, gentlemen, as the great riders in the world have done, and as Scott did just a year ago, I'll invite you to step forward and hoist this beautiful trophy symbolic of supremacy in international show jumping. The CP International to Scott Brash. What a fitting exclamation mark to put to the end of British Day as the lovely mare Ursula jumps to triple clear. We're going to invite Scott now to get back on board as we continue our championship presentation here in the international ring on the final day of the Spruce Meadows Masters. And as he does so, ladies and gentlemen, we would ask you to kindly stand and face the nation's flagpole as we salute our champion with the raising of the colors and the playing of God Save the Queen. Rolex, Rolex,